Hey guys, welcome back to the B Manny channel, and today I want to talk a little bit about my mastery build, why it's good for me. Obvious disclaimer, it's not going to be good for everybody. I have a tendency to not get hit a whole lot, so that really goes a long ways into my build and what I try to achieve in terms of just ending fights quickly with minimal health lost. So what you can see here, I've got 36 points in offense. The only thing that I, don't really touch just because I don't want them to slowly bleed me, and plus I like my specials a lot, is I don't fool with the double suicides unless I'm doing an arena grind or trying to go for a legends run. Otherwise, I really like this setup here, so I'll give you just a brief overview of everything I've got going on. Obviously no points in defense and my utilities, so we'll go back to offense now and kind of go through them one by one. So I start of course with the basic build, your 1-1, just to open up the other trees. So here I really like Pierce because a lot of my champs, they're crit hitting a lot, and that additional 15% armor ignoring goes a long ways in terms of dealing additional damage. And what I've done here, instead of just going one in precision and one in lesser precision and one in lesser cruelty, I went ahead and maxed out lesser cruelty, because now it's giving me an increase in critical damage of 10%, and I've really noticed a difference. I just put this on today actually, and I'm planning on running this build for at least the rest of the month, hopefully, as long as I don't see any downside to it. It may extend longer, but that additional 10% critical damage on my crit hits really, it adds up every hit. You hit a guy 20 times, and let's say you're taking off an additional 100. Well, that's an additional 2,000 damage you've done just over the course of one fight. So that stuff like that really adds up. In terms of courage, some people don't like it, I like it, plus I had extra points to use. I like it because, especially in a longer quest or in a war, your champions get down below 50% health. All of a sudden, it's like putting on a 20% boost. So now they are much stronger, and they are gonna, help to hopefully, finish a fight for you a lot faster. And another thing that's helping me there is the glass cannon, which of course increases the attack of all my champions by 7.2% all the time. And the health lost, 7.2%. I'll show you an example with the champion here in just a minute of what that does. But I'm really only losing about 800 health. But I'm gaining that additional attack all the time. So that goes a long ways. Let me show you guys real quick what I was talking about in terms of the health reduction. So for instance, let's go to my top champs here. So for Black Widow, for instance, and what Glass Cannon does to her. Her base attack is 1216, so it's adding 113 points there for attack. And then her base health is 14,596, so I'm losing 1,051 health, but gaining that attack. So 1,051 health, I mean, if getting hit one time costs you the match, then you need to probably reevaluate your fighting style. Let's go to like Scarlet Witch. I think she's got about the same amount of health. Yeah, about the same, 10,051. And these are rank 5 champs, so Captain America, he's got a little bit more health to start with, so he's probably losing a little bit extra. Yeah, 1,100. So once again, it's like one hit that I'm not able to take over the course of an entire quest or something. But once again, the additional damage I'm doing for it is totally worth it. So let's go back to the masteries now. In terms of the more advanced or high dollar, or however you want to look at them, I only put one in despair. The healing and regeneration effects by 5% is okay. You can get it up, of course, to 15%, but some people really like it. You can be on the fence either way. I'm one that I really only opened it so I could get to these other masteries. I've got 3 in deep wounds. I've had it maxed for a long time, but I changed my setup a little bit, so I only had a couple points left to use, so I put them back in deep wounds. And I really like this mastery, although I don't use a lot of bleed champs anymore. Of course, Wolverine, X-23, Black Panther, which I don't even have Black Panther, so it's not something I worry about. But the champs that I use on a regular basis, Star-Lord, Miss Marvel, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Crossbones. And the only one that really benefits from it is Captain America World War II with his level 2. And of course it is significant, so I do really enjoy the additional couple ticks. I get an extra second and a half off of his bleed whenever it lands. So that's a great mastery. If you want to max it, awesome. Any points you can put in there is wonderful. And Assassin, once again, some people love it, some people are totally against it, but for me, I love it. It's one of my favorite masteries, and when I took it off to run double suicides, I really wish I'd had it maxed. Looking back on it, because 18% health, you might think, oh well, a 20k a fight it's only going to kick in when he's around 3,800, and that's only a couple hits anyway. But over the course of an Alliance quest, war a little bit too, but over the course of Alliance quest, if you're shortening a fight by 1 or 2 hits over the course of 10, 15 fights, well, that's close to 20, 30 hits, which is an additional fight that you didn't have to do. Plus, you're decreasing their defensive ability by 20%. So, once they get down there, like an Iron Man he's got a 20% chance he won't regen, things of that nature. Plus, if they start below it, you get an additional 30% offensive ability accuracy, so you're basically crit hitting and stuff like that all the time. So there's my offensive build, lots of damage. Just all out, lots of damage. In defense, when I do run defense, I usually put 1 point in the first 2 to open up the tree to salve and recovery. And they're good. And I ran some tests before doing this on what kind of regen I'm losing out on. And really my only regen champ is the Scarlet Witch. Now, of course, if you've got max salve and max recovery, you're getting that 5 ticks or 5 every tick, so 10 per second over a minute. So you're getting 600 health back if your fight lasts a minute. Most of mine only last about 15 seconds, so I'm really only getting about 150 to 200 per fight, which of course, once again, over the course of 10 or 12 fights is going to add up to a couple thousand. But for me, like I said, the regen from Scarlet Witch went from 200 per tick down to 170, so I'm losing 60 per second over 8 seconds. I'm losing 480 off of a regen for her, which it's not that big a deal once again for me. But if I do open this up to where I get to willpower, of course I go 3 in salve, 3 in recovery to max that, and then I do like to put 4 points in block proficiency. I don't really fool with, a 1% chance for a perfect block is just, I don't know, it doesn't do anything for me. I know a lot of people put 2 in there and 1 in stand your ground or vice versa, but once again, those masteries, I don't ever get caught with heavies that often, very rarely, so it's not something that I worry about. I put the additional extra 4 points in greater vitality, because then if I put 4 or 5 points in there, I'm boosting the health of my champs by 2.8 to 3.6% right out of the gate. So that does help to offset Glass Cannon a little bit as well. And then, you put a point in willpower if that's what you're after. I'm actually really fond of my utilities. Some people don't like them. Some people just put the very basic minimum in there. But for me, they do so much for my style of gameplay. So for instance, Limber, this really doesn't help me a lot because I don't get stunned very often. I don't get hit by a parry when I'm fighting my opponents, but it helps for my defense, I think. My champs don't stay stunned as long, and hopefully, come back at them and maybe get me a kill or something. So I put the 5 points there, and part of it too was to open up the additional, but obviously I have way more points in here that I needed to get to Mystic Dispersion. But 3 out of 3 in parry. The 2 seconds of stun duration is great, but what I really like is that it reduces the damage by 33%, because I parry a lot. Every single fight, 4 or 5 parries at least, most likely. And if I'm reducing that damage I'm taking, that's helping to offset the fact that I don't have salve and recovery on either. So parry's wonderful. Stupefy, I've maxed it a lot of times, but I think that additional 0.3 seconds, which I'm finding even in AEW, AQ, it's plenty, because obviously the computer nodes of the AI, they don't have masteries. So whatever when you stun them, they don't have limber and things like that. So this works great. It's all around. Even a Groot, I can stun Groot in map 3 with this, or even somebody running a Groot with some limber, I can still parry him and get a combo in before he gets out of it. So level 2 there is great. 2 in dexterity. Some people really only put 1 in there, but to me, you know, if I've got to evade and it gives me a 10% chance at level 1 versus a 25% chance, that's a pretty big jump in crit chance for your next attack. So I really am fond of level 2. Now you jump up to level 3. I've had it at level 3 before, and it's great, but you know, 8% difference. Okay, like I said, some people value it, some don't as much. The next 2 I really like, and that is Petrify. That's when they, you know, you inflict a stun and you're hitting them, that their health and power gains are reduced by 30%. So a lot of times I'll hit somebody and get 2 or 3 hits and his power bar, you know, barely goes up, and I can get in 6 or 7, 8 hits sometimes by doing it that way before they ever get to their first bar of power. And then by the time I push them over, I've got my special, which works great for like Spider-Man or Yellow Jacket or somebody you got to stay away from their special. I can go ahead, get my 5-hit comboing, lay my special on them, and get the hell away from them before they have a chance to use it, or give myself time to, you know, set up for what they're getting ready to do. So it really, you know, I've really been pleased with Petrify. And kind of the same thing with Pacify. Pacify, I suppose, is kind of here and there. I've really enjoyed it, but I could do without it, I suppose. So when your champions inflict stun, they reduce your enemy ability triggers by 30% for the duration. So for instance, you don't even have to have a maxed out Black Widow. Let's say she's like level 35 or something, and she's got a 70% chance to reduce their, you know, abilities while she's attacking. So if she stuns them and then you're hitting them, it's 100% chance at that point that they will not trigger their abilities. So Iron Man won't regen. Of course, Ultron, if you've got him stunned anyway, you probably cancel that as processing. But there's a lot of instances where Wolverine, you know, for instance, if you've got him stunned, he won't proc a regen on you when you've got him stunned and you're attacking him with a Black Widow. Or, you know, if you're attacking him with somebody else, you've reduced the chance of him pulling that regen from 100% down to 70. So there's a lot of good things about it. Some good, some bad, some say wasted points. I really enjoy it. And then, of course, Mystic Dispersion. I've ran it at every single level, and I know some guys that say max it out, max it out, max it out. And depending on who you're fighting, 12% at rank 5 is it's almost crazy. It's almost too much, because, you know, you'll be hitting them and you'll be thinking, oh, I'm gonna get my level 2 off here in a second, and then next thing you know, they procced a Fury or a Cruelty or something, and you nullified it with the Scarlet Witch or somebody, and boom, it's, you know, all of a sudden you're at a level 3, and most people know that with Scarlet Witch, you don't really want to be using that level 3 very often. It's slow, and the damage is not nearly what her level 2 does. So I run a level 4. It's the perfect amount for me. Even with Groot, I have to use my timing pretty good, but I can get off my level 2s, not have to worry about it too much. For defense, if you had only like Mystic Defenders, let's say, you know, Jugs, Magic, UC, then level 5, I mean, it can be devastating. I know one member of our alliance is always racking up 15, 18 kills with his Jugs at boss, running level 5 Mystic Dispersion and Willpower. So, you know, there's lots of benefits to taking it up higher, but I really like it at 4 for my personal style of gameplay. Science Detect, I didn't really think about this for a long time, and I watched some videos for some pretty high up players, and got to really thinking about it, and now I love this mastery. More than anything, it lets me know in war if I'm getting ready to face a science. So if I see a science, I'm immediately going to Crossbones or Black Widow, no questions asked. That's who I'm using, because it's probably an Electro or a Spider-Man, or a Yellow Jacket. So Yellow Jacket, most time they place them on those unblockable SP1 nodes, but if you're using Daredevil or something, it doesn't really matter. But I like it because, you know, they can't evade, or at least my Black Widow, of course, she's not 99, but she does have an 86% chance they're not going to evade. So most of the time, you know, I just downed a rank 2 5-star dupe Spider-Man. He evaded one time, but he didn't even hit me. I blocked a couple times. So stuff like that, you can, I mean, just really roll through it, and you know what you're up against. So, but for now, that's my mastery setup. If I change it, I'll definitely do an update. And if you have any questions, definitely send me a message. But otherwise, we'll see you on the battlefield.